Hey, welcome to Q&A, where you ask your questions and I do my best to give an answer. As always, you can ask your questions about faith and life on the website slido.com. Use the hashtag ALC22 and I will do my best to get to it. Well, let's jump into today's question. Listening to you talk about using people's preferred pronouns got me thinking. Should a Christian attend a gay wedding? What are your thoughts on this, please? Yeah, it's a good question. And yeah, I can see why the question around use of pronouns would get you thinking. Well, I guess, what are my thoughts on this? I guess, first of all, it's important to recognize or to remind ourselves that generally when people attend a wedding of any description, what they're generally doing is they're there to support the marriage that's taking place. They're there to as a sign of their support, their ongoing commitment to that couple. So for me, the question isn't so much, what have you said, should a Christian attend a gay wedding, but can a Christian support a marriage that goes directly against what the scriptures teach, a marriage that doesn't attract or is outside of God's covenantal blessing? And another thing that I would want to factor in, I think, is that are the people who are getting married, do they profess a belief in Jesus Christ or not? And the reason I say that is in 1 Corinthians 5, the opening verses, first 10, 11, 12 verses, Paul talks about the difference between those in the church and those outside, those who believe in Jesus and those who don't. And he makes the point that as Christians, we're to judge one another. We're to judge those who profess a faith in Jesus Christ, those who are in the church, but not those outside. Those outside are judged by God. They're held to account for their actions by God because they haven't signed up for what we have as Christians. They don't profess to believe, to have the same moral compass that we do. And so therefore we're not to judge them by the same standards that we do. And for me, this is a really big question because while if the couple getting married profess a belief in Jesus Christ, then obviously I can't support their marriage. I can't attend because I can't lend my support or be seen to endorsing a marriage which is outside of God's blessing, outside of Scripture. But if the couple are outside of the faith, they don't profess a belief in Jesus Christ, they're not part of the church, then it raises a third question for me, really. And that is really, what would my attendance or non-attendance communicate to them and to others? Because obviously the reason I've been invited is because I have a friendship of some description with it. And so simply to decline, simply to object and not turn up is going to communicate something less than honourable to not just to the couple, but to their family, to their friends, because they're going to know that I'm a Christian. And so suddenly my just not turning up or my declining just a blanket no raises questions about the nature of the friendship, all those sorts of things. So for me, I think I'd want to, if it was the couple were outside the faith, and obviously there is a friendship, so say otherwise I wouldn't have been invited, I would want to use the time between receiving that invite and the wedding to have one-on-one conversations with them, to talk about my faith and what it means to me, where the boundaries are, to talk about the nature of my friendship, what it is that why I have a friendship, and as a consequence, why, as committed as I may be to them and helping them find what is best in life, and of course that is through a relationship with Jesus, I can't support their marriage. But I would want to do this in a way that the conversations weren't judgmental, that kept the doors open and maintained the friendship if at all possible. So having had those conversations then, and let's assume they all went well, would I attend the wedding? Would I attend the wedding? It's a hard one because part of me says, no, I can't, because I can't be seen to be supporting or endorsing something that's not biblical in this context, something that I know that is outside of God's best for them, that is going to lead them further away from the covenantal blessings of God than anything else. And yet at the same time, I'm reminded of in John's gospel, Jesus with the woman at the well, the Samaritan woman. He goes and he enters into that dialogue, that conversation with that woman, and yet everything about his being there is wrong. It's offensive to his culture. She's a woman. He shouldn't be there alone. He shouldn't be having that conversation. She's a Samaritan. She's outside, and yet he has that conversation. She's sexually immoral. She's had numerous husbands. She's not even with her husband now. She's living with this guy. And yet Jesus attends, or he has that conversation. He engages her, and as a consequence, she comes to faith. So I'm torn, with a couple who are outside the church, who I've got friendship with, what exactly I would do. I can envisage times when, as a consequence of having that previous conversations with them, it would be inappropriate. But I can envisage times where it would open up the door to talk about faith in ways that could potentially engage people and reflect God's love and God's grace at the same time as upholding his the boundaries and his truth, so that people could take steps towards him. So in answer to the question, should a Christian attend a gay wedding? I don't think it's as clear cut as perhaps we may want it to be. Let me be very clear. If they profess a faith in Jesus Christ, absolutely not. No way. Could never do it. If they're outside, then the questions become a little bit more nuanced. What does my being there communicate? Have I communicated already with the couple and with others about my faith and where the boundaries are and why and all those sorts of things? So yeah, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts in the comments below. It's a great question. Got me thinking. Hope it's got you thinking. But anyway, that's it for now. Until next time, God bless.